I'm photographer David duChemin, and this is Vision is Better, a sometimes weekly podcast about the craft and art of photography. Welcome here. Hey, welcome to Northwest Ireland. I'm here on the beach in somewhere in Northwest Ireland, and it's been a while. We've been on the road for a couple of weeks, and I've been wanting to take a few minutes and record a Vision is Better episode. Hasn't happened yet for all kinds of reasons, weather and motivation, and now we found this great place that's a little bit secluded and out of the sun, and we're actually literally have driven onto a beach, and we're trying to find accommodation, apparently some big country western event in Donegal, of all things. Anyway, I've been wanting to take a couple minutes to talk about traveling light, and one of the difficulties of this particular trip is that I wanted to spend the first couple of weeks doing primarily some landscape kind of stuff, and then I wanted to spend almost a month in Italy doing street stuff, and I wanted to travel light, and we're going to be taking trains and planes, and I really didn't want to sort of burden myself, so I've been traveling super light, and rather than kind of list out my gear or show it to you, I just thought I'd tell you about it. As many of you know, I've stopped traveling with the really big stuff. So I'm now traveling with, on this trip, I'm traveling with two Fuji bodies, two X-T1s. I'm traveling with a 10-24 zoom. I'm traveling with just their kit lens, the 18-55, which for what it is actually a brilliant little lens. And the 55-200, which gives me about 300 millimeters equivalent worth of throw if I really need some reach to isolate some landscapes or that sort of thing. So that's the Fuji kit, and of course I'm carrying a whole bunch of batteries, and I'm carrying a Lee filter system with me, and a small Gitzo Traveler tripod, the Ocean Traveler in my case. But if you're getting it, get a Traveler. Don't spend the extra money on the Ocean Traveler. They're great little tripods. But the Ocean Traveler, because it has stainless steel, is a little heavier. It's also ludicrously more expensive. On top of a tripod line that's already pretty pricey. So that's primarily what I'm bringing. But then for the streets, what I'm bringing is my Leica M240 type, which is a full frame digital rangefinder. I've got a 21 millimeter, a 35 millimeter, and a 90 millimeter lens, and that's it. That's all I'm traveling with. So everything that I've got, it fits into this small little bag. It's my Think Tank. What is it called? Think Tank Airport Essentials, and I've been traveling with this for the last year. I don't use it as my adventure bag when I'm off on a trip where I need something that's got a little bit of a better harness, or I want something with a little bit more volume. Then I use my Gura gear bags, and I'm still in love with those. But this little Think Tank one's great because I'm never worried about anyone looking sideways at it and asking me to check it. It's about the right size for 3 of these cameras, 6 of these really small lenses, some filters, and some sort of assorted bits and pieces, including batteries and hard drives. So that's what the bag that I'm using right now that I really love. The other thing that I wanted to sort of dovetail into this conversation is specifically about lenses, and whether you use prime lenses or zoom lenses. You see a lot online, especially these conversations about which is better. Is a zoom lens better, or is a prime lens better? And the problem with these conversations is that very few of them frame them in context of what it means for a lens to be better. Is a prime lens sometimes sharper than a zoom lens? Absolutely. In fact, often there are prime lenses that are much sharper than zoom lenses. Of course, there are also zoom lenses that are sharper than some poorer quality primes. So the sun's just coming out. I swore I was going to get cloud cover for this whole video. So the question is, why do you choose the lens you choose? And my feeling is this: when I'm on the street, I really like simplicity. I like the lightweight 21 millimeter on my Leica, or 35 millimeter. I really like wide, I like short, I like to zone focus, which means there are some lenses that will work for me and some that will not. Yes, I will. Of course, I will take my Fujis if I need to. The Leica works really well in normal kind of lighting situations. It works really well when I can just max out my depth of field, like put it at f8 or f11. I can zone focus it, and I don't have to do anything. I can just worry about composing and experiencing the street, because it's a very different way of working than when you're photographing a landscape and you have an hour to mess around and to check your depth of field preview and to try different compositions and try different lenses. That said, one of the reasons that I like the Fuji and the zoom lenses for things like landscape is because very often you can't, as they say, zoom with your feet. On the street, you usually can, you often can. When you're doing landscapes, there's a lot of opportunity when you just want a little bit extra or a little less. You want to play with those compositions, and in my case, walking around on unsteady, slippery rocks. I've already trashed one iPhone on this trip by ditching myself on the rocks. Having a zoom lens is really appropriate for that kind of work. So the question you want to ask yourself before you start going down the rabbit trail of, is a prime lens better than a zoom lens? The question you want to ask yourself is, well, how do I want to work? What do I prefer? There are times when you want the creative constraints provided by a prime lens. Not having all the options makes me, at least in terms of my creativity, much more focused. And I get more creative the more constraints are involved. So I love the prime lenses for that. As many of you know, my prime consideration, no pun intended, my primary consideration is not whether it is the sharpest possible lens. I'm actually not interested in that particular argument. So yes, many prime lenses are sharper. The question is, do you want to travel lighter? Prime lenses are lighter. Prime lenses give you more constraints. Zoom lenses give you a little bit more flexibility when you need them, and I see no reason why you can't do both. On this trip, I have different intentions for different places, and I will use different lenses accordingly. So whatever you're choosing, whether it's a prime lens, a zoom lens, whether it's your camera or your camera bag, it might be appropriate, instead of asking which is the best, to start asking, for me, which one best suits my purposes and my intent. If you ask yourself which is the best and you ask 20 different people, they're all going to give you a different answer. But if you know what you intend, and then at the end of it, you just got to choose. You just have to, there might be a lens you're going to leave at home, and for many, the choice of one lens over another comes down to, I don't want to miss the shot. You're always going to miss the shot. There are always going to be times when you're going to wish that you had the 300, and if you have the 300, you're going to wish you had the 18mm fisheye, or the, I don't know, do they make 18mm fisheyes? The 15mm fisheye, or you're going to wish you had the 600mm lens instead of the 300. Whatever it is, there are going to be times when you're going to miss the shot. For me, I will miss more shots if I am laden with too much gear and if I have too many options. So know your creative process. Ask yourself, why am I using this? If you can ask yourself why and give yourself a good answer for that question, in almost any circumstance, you will get to a better decision than referring to the internet pundits, who will give you some very good knowledge, but the opinions that come out of that knowledge may only be valid for themselves. There are zoom lenses like the 24-70, which is often hailed as one of the best all-around lenses. I don't have a 24-70. I don't like the focal lengths. I like 16-24, and then I sort of like 80-200. That bit in the middle is not usually, sometimes, it's not usually the focal length I want. So I don't have a 24-70, despite everyone saying what a great lens it is. It's not a great lens for me. And what will be great for you will be the one that suits your creative process the best, that suits your particular intentions. If you're traveling on a trip and you don't have, you want to carry all your stuff, you don't want the biggest, heaviest lenses. So make your choices appropriate. Forget which one's the best and which one's better than, and ask yourself which one is most aligned with your intent for the kind of photography that you want to do. Thanks so much for joining me here in Northwest Ireland. I'll check in when I'm in Italy. We'll see you next time. Remember, gear is good, but vision's better.